All right, everyone, we have breaking news in an 8-1 decision, Ketanji Brown being the only one that actually decided to dissent. We have a decision with regards to the protected status of certain groups of Venezuelan illegal immigrants in the United States. Link in the description, archived, of course. SCOTUS siding with the Trump administration. This was expected. I didn't expect it to be an 8-1, though. I would have figured it would be more along partisan lines, that there would be some sort of stirring dissent issued, but that it was kind of anticlimactic. It wasn't issued at all. I'm going to take you through one particular segment of this particular news article, archived, of course, link in the description, which is very interesting to me. This case started in February when Kristi Noem, the Homeland Security Secretary, terminated an 18-month extension of temporary protected status that had been granted to Venezuelans by the Biden administration. So it would be based on nationality. It wouldn't be a case-by-case basis, as is proper. People affected by the change sued, saying that the move violated administrative procedures and was influenced by racial bias. Well, the former, you can argue, of course, before the courts. You'll have your opportunity to do that, I suppose. This simply removes the protective status specifically issued to these roughly 300,000 individuals, so that you can go case by case, which will clog the courts to some degree, the immigration courts, but, I mean, something has to be done because we can't do this fucking forever. However, when you're talking about racial bias, Venezuelan is not a race. Venezuelan is a civil construct. It is a nationality. There are people in Venezuela that are light-skinned. There are people in Venezuela that are dark-skinned. There are people in Venezuela that are somewhere in between. It's not a race. So that particular legal challenge makes absolutely no sense. It's like saying that if you exclude a group of people from your country simply because of the predominant race or ethnicity involved, that has to, of course, be the reason that you're doing so. Well, oh, that makes no sense. Are you saying that the South African refugees, some of which, by the way, are not white, are excluded from the country properly because this is an ethnically based program? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, just to keep that black South African farmer out because, we're not going to resettle them. I know that that's the Episcopal Church, not the U.S. government, but the point is still salient. Now, Venezuelan illegals now in the country are now set to be deported. I think that this is a good idea. I agree with the Trump administration generally. Now, again, there are situations in which a person may be illegally in your country, but you're showing, some sort of lenience towards them. I believe in lenience under the law whenever it is reasonably applicable. So let's say somebody came illegally from Venezuela, but it was 5 years ago, and they've got two kids, both of which are U.S. citizens, and single mom or something. I'm not going to boot them out of the fucking country. Again, I disagree with some members of my audience who are much more hardline than me on immigration. I would ask people, please don't come to the United States illegally. It would be nice if we had a fortified border wall on both sides of the border, by the way, and could actually safeguard our country. That being said, sometimes people will come in illegally. There are exonerating circumstances beyond simply the fact that they're there illegally. I acknowledge this. But we're talking about a situation, and this has been it's been acknowledged by the Venezuelan government, that there were certain, at least lower officials, that were actively encouraging cartel members and terrorists to come into the fucking country. If you've got that sort of situation at the governmental level, you can assume that it's effectively a terroristic invasion. The goal is to make money and send remittances back to Venezuela, destabilize U.S. culture, harm people, cause harm. You've got little kids that are being killed by some of these gang members or abducted and trafficked. This is an unacceptable situation. The extension of this protected status should never have been granted in the fucking first place. And so when SCOTUS says yeah, pending appeal, we're suspending this, that is the right decision to make. So the Supreme Court ruled correctly, other than Katanji, of course. We'll see how the final case ends up settled. Again, these cases can take an inordinate goddamn amount of time. It can take years for these things to make their ways back and forth through the courts. You can be bled dry like vampirism style by the court system. Anyone who's dealt with the legal system would know this. That's about all. Peace out.